parenting is the single most triggering thing you will ever undertake. And it brings up your own childhood wounds. And it gives you so many opportunities to parent your own inner child. I just dropped my son off at school, and he's had a little bit of a rough time the last few years, just dealing with a lot of different things in the family life and coping with going to a new school. And his brain works differently. He's extremely smart, and so his brain doesn't work the way that like an average kid's brain works. He's extremely bright. But it has caused him to feel isolated and to feel like he's trying to find his way. And I just dropped him off, and he jumped out of the car. I said goodbye, and I saw a boy that is in our neighborhood that he's friends with. He said hi to him, and the boy was walking with another boy, didn't really acknowledge him. And then I saw the mother of this boy look at my son, watch that happen, and just kind of ignore it. And the boys walked in front of my son, and he was kind of in the back. And then this other boy who's also in our neighborhood, who's a bully and has bullied my son in the last few years, been really cruel to him, kind of brushed past my son, didn't even acknowledge him, and jumped up with the other boys. And then they all walked ahead of my son. And the last thing I saw when I turned around to leave the carpool line was my son walking alone and 4 boys walking in front of him. And I was instantly angry because, you know, the mother of this boy had watched it happen, and this mother has been really weird towards me. She's in like the adult version of this group with the boys in our neighborhood with their parents, and she goes out of her way to make me feel like she doesn't like me and I'm not included in that group. She doesn't even acknowledge me when we're at school, and I've literally done nothing to her. I've been nothing but nice. I brought her over some zucchini bread when I first met her, and I've really tried to go out of my way to be kind and develop a friendship with her, and she just has completely like iced me out. And it's okay, like adults can agree that they don't like each other. I don't know why she would not like me though, because literally I've done nothing to her. But this isn't something new. This has happened to me my whole life. There's something about her that's insecure, and she doesn't like me. And it's okay, that's fine. Not everyone has to like me, but the problem I have is when you're literally trying to isolate my son and make my son feel bad. Like he's a kid, you know, and you can ice me out of your adult group all you want. I don't really care. It's not like I have any interest in hanging out with her or the friends in the neighborhood that she is with, but it's when you ice out my son, who's a minor and who is an innocent in all of this, and you're encouraging your son to leave my son out, where I have a problem. Because if it was reversed and I had watched that happen, and another little boy was completely iced out of a tribe and made to feel completely alone, and my son was involved with that, I would have at least acknowledged that little boy and told him to come up and walk with us and walk with our group walking into the school. She did none of that. She just completely let it happen. And it was like this moment where I was watching my son have a growing moment, because in that moment, my son's going to learn resilience. He's going to learn how to stand on his own. He's going to learn who his real friends are. He's going to see the ugliness in other kids, and he's going to clock that, and he's going to either say, you know, something's wrong with me, and then go perpetuate that out onto other people. But I hope that I've taught my son that he can go inward and believe he's enough, and believe that even though he was iced out in that moment from the tribe, he is worthy of love, he is worthy of acceptance, and go out and never do that to another kid. I've tried to instill that in my kid, and I hope that I've modeled that. I've hoped that I've modeled to him not to tolerate disrespect, and to recognize that there's ugliness in the world, and people are going to act from their own insecurities, and they're going to try to make you feel like you're not lovable or you don't belong, because that's how they feel inside. And hopefully he never does that to another child, and hopefully he, you know, can stand on his own 2 feet and recognize that even if he's alone, he's worthy of love. And it was like I had to watch that moment go down, and it was so hard. I had to then tend to my inner child, you know. It's like I'm now driving home from school and recognizing that my heart is hurting and my inner child is feeling neglected, and I'm remembering the times that I was bullied and the times that I was isolated from a group. And it was like feeling it as a small child again. You know, it was like my inner child is triggered. It's triggered in this moment. You know, I'm sad for my son. And you know, I wish I could just wrap him up and bubble wrap and protect him from the ugliness of the world and the ugliness of people, but I can't. And in fact, that would do him no good, because he is going to continue to experience this. I experienced this as an adult. I talk about this, in the last 2 years, I had an entire friend group decide one day they hated me and turn on me and isolate me out of the tribe. And it was really hard as a 45-year-old woman to go through that. Like, it still hurt. But I had to, like, bank on what I've learned in my life, which is that, I'm lovable, I'm worthy of being in a tribe. And 85% of the things people do to you are projection of how they feel about themselves. It really has nothing to do with you. And it's like I have to rely on those truths and rely on that inner knowledge and healing that I've undertaken as an adult, still even to this day, as I parent my child and as I watch him go through those things. So if you've ever had a moment where you've watched your child in a teaching moment and you've wanted so bad to just like rescue them and you can't, and they have to figure this out on their own, like, you're not alone. Parenting is such a hard gig. It is the hardest gig you'll ever have in your life. And for all the parents out there, I see you, I'm with you, and we got this.